Hey y'all, welcome back to Nini's Texas Kitchen. Today I'm going to make creamy caramel layer cake. And I'm going to make Swiss meringue caramel buttercream to go on the cake and decorate it. So what you're going to need for the cake part of the recipe is you need 5 egg whites, and I have them already in my mixer and I'll beat those in just a second. Then you're going to need 1.5 sticks of softened butter at room temperature. You need 2 cups of sugar. You need 3 cups of sifted cake flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 cup of milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then 2 9-inch prepared cake pans. So I'm going to go ahead and start my egg whites because I want to beat them until they reach stiff peaks. So I'm going to turn this on and let it start beating them while I prepare the rest of the cake batter. So there's 5 egg whites in there from 5 large eggs. Make sure you don't get any yellows in it. And then just turn it on your stand mixer if you have one. And you want it to whip them up to stiff peaks. So in the meantime, we'll come back over here, and I have my softened butter already in my mixing pan, and I'm going to mix it up by hand. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can do your egg whites first to make them stiff, and then use your beaters to mix the rest of it together. It'll just take you an extra step. So anyway, the first thing you need to do is, and I have my oven preheated, by the way, to 350 degrees. So I am going to beat the butter first and kind of make it nice and fluffy and creamy, like so. And it looks pretty good. It doesn't take but a second to do that. Now I'll add in my 2 cups of sugar. And I'm going to cream that. Cream all that with the butter and sugar together. You want them to be mixed well and to turn into a more fluffier mixture. All right. So you just want it to combine well. And I've got it nice and combined. Now in the meantime, I can check on my egg whites, and they're starting to fluff up and turn white, so I'll show you those in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to take my baking powder and I'm going to mix it in with my flour, like so. And now what you want to do is alternate adding your flour and your milk mixture into this. So I like to do it in about thirds. Check my egg whites. I think they're good. Yeah, those are good. You can see they're stiff peaks. All right, so we'll bring this over here now and set them aside until we're through mixing this other stuff together. So I'm adding some more of my flour in, some more of the milk, and just keep mixing. some more flour, the rest of it. And the milk. And mix that all in together. It's making kind of a medium thick batter right now, but I'm fixing to incorporate the egg whites, and that will help it slacken down a little. Go ahead and add in your 1 teaspoon of vanilla. All right. Okay, we got that all combined. Get all that off of there, and then you want a large spatula or spoon, this will work, to mix in your egg whites into the mixture. So put in some of them first, like maybe a third of them, and mix it in, and it'll kind of slacken down the mixture, and then you can add the rest of them. So you want to fold them in, and that's where you go around the bowl and then through the middle. Okay, so go around the bowl and then through the middle, and that helps you fold in your egg whites. You want to keep as much air in them as you can without knocking all the air out, but you also don't want to have big chunks of white meringue in your cake. Some is okay, but you don't want a whole lot. All right, so now you can see it's starting to slacken down, so now I'll add the rest of my egg whites in, like so. And like I said, around the bowl and fold. So I'm going to keep folding these in, and then we'll come back and show you what it looks like after it's incorporated and put it into the pans. All right, so our cake batter has been incorporated, as you can see, and so I'm going to even it out between these two pans as close as I can. If you want to use a digital scale to weigh it out and make sure you get it exactly even, you can. I'm just going to try to eyeball it and see what I think. So I usually do a little in one and then a little in the other one, and then see how much I need to add to them both to get them evened out. And when you do a cake like this that has egg white in it, you want to make sure that you have your pan as close to your bowl as close to your pan as possible, so that you don't have, it doesn't have to drop so far, because when it splotches in the pan it can lose height, and you don't want it to do that. So I think this one needs a little bit more, like so. All right. All in there. Okay. Then kind of spread it around. You don't want to lose your air bubbles from inside your egg whites. And they look pretty even. I think they'll match up all right. Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to bake them in my 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. And while they're baking and cooling, we'll show you how to make the frosting. So we'll be back shortly and show you that part. Okay, y'all, we're gonna make our caramel sauce that goes into our Swiss meringue buttercream now. So what you need to make the caramel sauce, and we'll make it and then we'll just set it aside. It'll still be fairly warm once we get the buttercream made, but you don't want it scalding hot and you don't want it like cold where it's really, really thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar, and then I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of water. And I'm going to stir it up just to make sure it's all mixed and everything. But you don't want to stir it once you start cooking it. Okay. So now it's a good idea to have a brush and some water that you can dip it in, like so. And that way if you need to go around the sides while it's cooking, you can. So you're going to turn it on to like medium-high heat, and we're going to let it start to melt the sugar. And then once it starts boiling, don't stir it. You just want to keep an eye on it, and when it turns like an honey amber yellow color, turn it off the heat and add in 1/2 cup of heavy cream and stir vigorously. And that will combine it and make your caramel sauce. Then you'll just set it aside and while you prepare the rest of the frosting. So once it starts bubbling and turns to the proper color, we'll come back and show you. All right, as y'all can see, it's starting to turn that amber honey golden color. So I just got to give it like another 30 seconds or so. I just wanted a little bit more amber colored than that. But it's like so close. I don't want it to burn. You have to be careful. You don't want caramel to get too dark because then it's going to have a bitter taste to it. So I think that is about where I want it. So now I'm going to turn off the flame and I'm going to mix in the heavy whipping cream really fast, and you have to be careful because it's very hot. Steam comes off of it. It will burn you. So mix it till it's all combined really, really well, like so. And then, as you can see, we have caramel sauce. So now I'm going to set my caramel sauce to the side and let it cool down, and then we'll use it when we get ready to pour it into our Swiss meringue caramel buttercream frosting. And there we go. All right, so let's see. I'm going to check the cakes. They are done. Turn that oven off. All right. Here they are coming out of the oven. I got racks set out for them already. Look how pretty they look. You want to let them sit in the pans for about 10 minutes before you turn them out upside down on your cooling racks. Okay. So we're going to do that. Now, what you're going to need for your Swiss meringue buttercream part is you need 6 egg whites at room temperature, and I've already got them in my big mixing bowl. And you're going to need a bain-marie. So I have this other pan of water here, and I'm going to heat this up to boiling momentarily. Now, the other ingredients that you need are 1.5 cups of sugar. And let's see, did I already measure that? I haven't measured that part. So I gotta have 1.5 cups of sugar, and I'm gonna go ahead and add it in to my room temperature egg whites. And this scoop that I have is 1/4 cup measure in here. So I'm just gonna measure out 6 cups. 6 of these scoops, I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now, you want to whisk this together. And then I'm going to whisk it over the bain-marie once my water is ready. So the way that you do that, if you've never done it before, is you want to heat your water up to boiling. When it gets to boiling, you want to turn it down to a low to just have a simmer and set your bowl on top of it. You're going to whisk the egg whites and the sugar over your bain-marie using a whisk like this until it reaches 160 degrees. So I have a thermometer here, and we'll look at that and check that. Once we're done with that, we're going to put it back on the stand mixer with this wire whisk, and we're going to mix it, beat it like that until it starts to form stiff peaks for about 10 minutes and it cools down. Then once it cools down, then we'll start adding in the butter. And the way I'm making this one is I'm using 1 cup, well, 3/4 of a cup of room temperature butter cut into pieces, into cubes. And then I'm also going to use 3/4 of a cup of shortening. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I didn't want to use up all my butter, and because that way you're still getting the good consistency and you still have some butter flavor, but it's not just tasting exactly just like butter, but it'll be really good and it'll make a nice frosting. So we're gonna get ready to start that piece. As soon as the water boils and we turn it down, we'll come back and show you what to do next. All right, so we have our water had started boiling, so I just turned it down to low, and I set my mixer bowl just right over the top of it. You just don't want the water to touch the bottom of the bowl. You want there to be a little space. So I'm just holding the handle and I'm whisking the egg whites and sugar mixture, and I also added in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt to it, and you just heat this up until it hits 160 degrees, and it will be a little bit before it gets there, a few minutes, not too long, maybe about 6 or 7 minutes, because I just started and it's not time yet, but I'll check it shortly. So when we hit 160 degrees and we stick it on the mixer, we'll come back and show you what that part looks like. All right, so it just hit up to 160. So now it is ready to go on the mixer. Just be careful, sometimes your bowl might get a little bit hot. Mine's warm, but it's not too hot. So now I'm going to turn it on. And I'm just going to do it on like medium for a few minutes to cool it down, like so. And then after it's cooled off for a few minutes like this, then I'll turn it up to high speed and beat it for about 6 or 7 minutes until it's light and fluffy and has stiff peaks. Then we'll add our butter and shortening. So we'll come back and show you that in just a few minutes. All right, y'all, it's shiny and fluffy and stiff peaks. So now what we want to do is start adding our butter and our shortening. So you're just going to take a little bit of butter at a time and you add it, and then you let it incorporate completely before you add more. So I just threw some in. Now I'm going to wait a second until it looks like it's completely added in. Then I'll add in the next batch. Boom, like so. And I'm going to keep doing that until all of this that's on this plate is incorporated. And after that is when we'll switch to our paddle attachment and add in our caramel sauce. So when we get ready to do that, we'll come back and show you the next steps. All right, guys, so we have the butter and shortening all incorporated. So now we're going to add in our caramel sauce. It cooled down a little, so I had to warm it back up slightly to get it in. And I switched over to the paddle attachment, so I'm just going to slowly add in the caramel. Now, if it's too runny or gloopy, that's fine. Just keep mixing it. You need 1 cup of the caramel sauce. and it will cool back down, and when it does, it will thicken back up again. Okay, and if that doesn't work, you can put it in the refrigerator for a little bit, and then let it cool all the way down and get cold. Bring it out, let it set at like room temperature for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then whip it again. So we're going to let this incorporate for about 10 minutes, and once everything is ready, we'll come back and show you our icing. Alright y'all, our Swiss meringue buttercream, it was pretty soft when I first got done with it, so I put it in the fridge to chill for a little while and brought it back out, and then I whipped it back up, and then I decorated the cake. So I put little stars on top, and then I just did a smooth crumb coat frosting around the side, and there's also a layer in the middle. So now we're just going to give it a little try and see what we think of it. You see that middle layer there? Okay. The moment of truth. The cake's moist. That's really good. Very caramely tasting. That's perfect. If you guys like my video making creamy caramel cake, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, go and hit that subscribe button, share it to all your friends. Please go back and watch some of my videos, or all of them. I appreciate you guys watching a lot. Thank you, and we'll see y'all next time in Nene's Texas Kitchen.